Hello, chess friends. As a beginner, we all want to take our game to the next level, but most of us forget to stand to the basic rules. A game of chess is divided into three major phases: the opening, the middle game, and the end game. Each of these phases has its own rules and it's important to stick to them. In this tutorial, I will try to explain the importance of each phase and its principles. But before I start, if you have not already subscribed to my channel, please do so by pressing the bell button on the left. Let's first talk about the opening. There are two important factors you have to consider: development and take control of the center. Always try to balance pros and cons between those two factors and try to get as much space as much development in the opening as possible. To place your pieces on the most active squares and place them so that they have direct bearing onto the center. I'll show you a simple example for a quick and logical opening phase in this slow Italian game. E4, E5. Both sides conquer space in the center. Knight F3, Knight C6. Bishop C4, Bishop C5. Knight C3, Knight F6. Both sides place their pieces on active squares from which they are aiming straight to the center. Castle, castle. Both side castles their kings and brought their king into the safety. Let's discuss about the middle game. The middle game begins when the development has finished and when all or at least most pieces are inbuilt into the game. In the middle game, both sides should generate a plan and consider time, efficiency, and counterattacks. You all should ask those questions. How long will it take to implement my plan? Will I have a conspicuous benefit by use of my plan? Has my opponent a chance to start a counterattack which might be possibly faster than my own plan? The realization of the plan takes place while taking into account of my and my opponent's weaknesses, technical resources, logical candidate moves, and the best replies of the opponent. Always assume the best moves of your opponent and never calculate with the moves that would win for you. Chess is not hope chess. Here, now let's have a look at the middle game. This is a critical middle game position. I have deliberately chosen this game, example game, because it's very easy to understand and very instructive. Because it's a closed and lucid position. In every closed position, the side who wants to win needs to do a pawn break to open up lines for the attack. Uh, let's have a look at this. Because of black's space disadvantage, white has full control over the center and over both sides of the black pawn breaks with a4 and b5 are all locked by white pawns and a strong knight and c3, which has a very nice square on b5, by the way. Also, black has no pieces involved at the queen side, so no attack is inside there. White has one big pawn break, h4 and h5, which is very typical against those g6 fianchetto structures to open up files for the rooks. So h4 and h5 definitely has to be the main strike for white. Now let's look at the pieces. Obviously both sides has very bad and implicit bishops on d3 and g7. Always when a piece is bad, you have to look for ways to improve their activity. When you look a bit closer at those possible routes, you will see that white has a chance to free his bishops with g5. When you look a bit closer at those possible routes, you will see that white has a chance to free a bishop with g5 and bring it to h3, where it has a nice diagonal aiming at black's king side. where it could be included in the attack. Black's bishop, on the contrary, has no route to improve his activity. That's another advantage for the white position. So we can now come to the conclusion that white is clearly better. So now is the time to look for candidate moves to realize all those plans. Let's say we pick three candidate moves: h4, g5, and bishop f1. Maybe h4 might look very good at the first moment, but when you consider black's best defending resources, you will find the move h6. Have a look. h4, queen d8 attacking h4, so attacking g5, so h4. Now queen b8 black has no good moves and no plan. Bishop f1, king h8, bishop h3, queen d8, rook g1, queen b8. Since black has really no activity, all of those pieces are really blocked. Queen h2, queen d8, bishop g4, h5. Here black is simply lost. There is no way to stop the mate or decisive material losers. See how easy white won this game after finding a good plan. Now let's discuss the endgame. This is a critical always try to find ways to process into for for you beneficial endgame. Never exchange pieces and never process into an endgame which is obviously worse or even lost for you. In the endgame, you need to concentrate knowledge. But even more important than this knowledge is the ability to calculate very precise lines. Especially in rook and pawn endgames, every move can lead to an instant loss for you, even when you are completely winning one move earlier. Let's have a look at this example. Black's last move was knight f6. In this position, you don't need to calculate long variations after a move like g5 because there is a very simple way to win the game immediately. How? Bishop takes f6, pawn takes f6, rook d1. Always look for those ways to eliminate all the pieces from the board before calculation. Rook takes d1, king takes d1, king d6, g5. In this position, white wins by simply by creating two pass pawns on the king side and queen side. g5 is typical breakthrough. Have a look. F takes g5, f takes g5, king e7, g takes h6, king f8, b4, king g8, b5, king h7, b takes a6, b takes a6. Now friends, realize what's happening and activity on the c file. Because black's king went to the other side of the board to defend the pawn h file, c file pawn has now complete open space to go for a pawn promotions. Have a look. c5, king takes h6, c6, king takes h5, c7, f5, and then c8 to queen. Black king couldn't stop both pass pawns. 1-0 here. So to conclude, we can say the as we have for openings, get as much space and fast development as possible. Place your pieces on active and useful squares. For middle game, develop a decent plan, use all of your pieces and follow the mentioned rules. And for end games, the last phase of the game, calculate correct lines and use your end game knowledge. Look out to process into winning end games, but never process into losing ones. I hope I could help everybody here with this very important basics of the chess game. Only when you master the basic rules, you can try to use advanced knowledge. Uh, if you like this video, please press the like button, and which will help me keep me motivated for the next game. Till then, take care. Bye bye.